Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay, so our today's lecture. Sorry for being slightly late. It was supposed to start at 9:20, but this is 9:35. So we will complete it, and we will take 10 to 15 minutes more than our allocated time. This is because of the IT issues, etc. Okay, so the topic today is the questionnaire design. And what is the questionnaire? What are the different types of the questionnaire? What are the purpose of questionnaire? All these things that we have to take care of in this discussion. So if you see the definition of questionnaire, and you can easily define it as set of questions. Okay? If you are making a set of different questions, and those questions are designed in a way that they should generate some statistically valid information. And from where you are getting this information, maybe some specific demographic area, and it is needed to accomplish the research objectives. So what is it? It is a set of the question. Okay? Set of the question of what kind of what value, that they may give you some statistically valid information, from where these information should be collected through this set of question from some specific demographic area, population. And why it is being done? It is being done to accomplish some research objectives. So your questionnaire must be in accordance to get the information of your research objective. If you see that by zooming this questionnaire here, then you can see how healthy is your lifestyle. Then there are different questions about their characteristics, about their habits, about their lifestyle. So is smoking, if I want to ask someone, what is, do you smoke? And then I give him different options that yes, I'm a current smoker. No, I'm not smoking right now, but I was used to smoke previously in the past, but I had never smoked. So I have given 3 options in this to the respondents. Then weight is your weight is 20 pounds excess than what is expected to be, or it is more less than 20 pounds, and it is not overweight. And similarly, physical activity, do you do the regular physical exercises or activity daily, or more than 3 days a week, or no. So this type of the different questions that you give. Then now see at this. What is this? When you accomplish and completes all these questions and their responses, then you have to analyze them. How you will analyze all this, and then there are the scoring instruction of these questions, that for example, add number of the check boxes in column B and C. In first 4 questions, add number of check boxes in column B or C in the rows 1, 2, 3 or 4, etc. And lifestyle scores, you see the ideal scores should be like this, and these scores are not ideal, but they require some degree of the correction, and other scores are requiring more. So these are the scoring instruction and analytic things there. So this is an example of the questionnaire, and now you see that what are the different types of the questionnaires, what are the type of the questions, etc., etc. One thing, there are surveys. In most of the surveys, it is being completed through different questionnaires, and surveys are more than a collection of an unambiguous questions. So if a set of the questions which should be clear, they should not be unambiguous, and they can be used as a questionnaire to conduct different surveys. And how questions are specified and put together, this influences the respondents' willingness to participate and responses they provide. So this is the quality of the questionnaires, that how they have been phrased, how they have been specified, how they have been sequenced and put together, how the sequence of the questions are transforming from one type of the question to other type of the questions. And all this is going to influence the willingness of the respondents and the response, the depth of response, the how actively they are providing all these responses, etc. So purpose of the questionnaire is that through questionnaire, one wants to ensure standardization and comparability of the data across interviews. Everyone is asked the same question. So if I just say that to anyone without framing this sentence, to find out certain demographic or habitual characteristics of someone. So they may come to me with different types of the data collected. But if I give, like you saw, that do you smoke? And in smoking, yes, currently smoking. No, ex-smoker, never smokes. I have given 3 responses and given this questionnaire to 10 different interviewers, and they are going to 100 different interviewees or respondents. So they all will come to me with the same sort of standardized information, and those information should be comparable with each other, and there should not be any interviewer bias, or there should not be any respondent bias as well. So the main aim is behind all that, that everyone is asked the same question in same words, okay, especially. Then this increases the speed and accuracy of the recording, and they should not go here and there and ask different type or different ways of the question. Facilitates data processing. So we formulate the codes for different responses, and then we are able to process the data very quickly. And this allows the researcher to collect the relevant information necessary to address the management decision of the specific problem to which we are trying to gather the data. So irrelevant informations are being filtered out, or they are not being collected. And not only the relevant information is collected, this saves the time, because we are not going to collect the irrelevant informations, and we are able to manage the decision of the problem. Then improper design can lead to incomplete information, or useless information, more information, but many of them are useless for the purpose of this decision problem. And then inaccurate data, that we want to find out something in a comprehensive way, but a part of the data, part of the information is being collected, and some part of the information is being missed. And then it may lead to, if the design is incomplete, it may lead to increase the cost of the survey, or the cost of the research. There are different criteria that must be considered while we are designing a questionnaire or making a questionnaire. And these are whether our questionnaire, does it provide the necessary information for which it has been drafted or manufactured? Does it consider the respondents' point of view as well, respondents' ethics, respondents' willingness, and it does not have the questions which are teasing for the respondent, or they are something like to probe the respondents some secured information, the information which he doesn't likes to share with others. Okay, or does it meet editing, coding, and the data processing requirement? So at the end of the collected all, we have done the survey, we have collected all the informations, and we have done all the field and hard work. And then when we set it up to code the data, and we see that the questions cannot be coded. So it is previously, before starting the trial, before starting the survey, these editing and coding and processing requirements should be taken care of. So designing the questionnaire, certain points that should be considered, that determine survey objectives, plan what to measure. Okay, what are the objectives of the survey? What are the objectives of the research that for which this questionnaire is being processed, or this questionnaire is being planned and manufactured and formatted? Okay, so this is all the questions should be in accordance to get the information regarding our objectives. No need to collect the unnecessary information, and it should be taken care of that the necessary information must be collected. So don't miss the necessary information, and don't collect the unnecessary information and make a jungle of the informations, and then after that sitting there for a lot of time to sort out the meaningful informations. Then decide the format of your questionnaire. Which type of the questionnaire do you need? What is the mode of collection of information? Is this a personal interview? Is this a telephonic interview? Is this an email type of questionnaire? Is this a postal questionnaire, or is this type of questionnaire that you are instead of going to interview the personnels, you just distribute the questionnaire and the respondent fills it by himself or herself and then return back? So what is the way of collecting information should be kept in mind while designing any questionnaire. And then after deciding all these things, after deciding your objectives, after deciding the way of collection of information, then you formulate question to obtain the needed information. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, how many questions do you want to put in, and how will you transform from one type of the questions to another type of the questions? For example, that here I see I want to, in the first part of the questionnaire, I want to take the demographic information. So I want to put in the name, the age, the occupation, the ethnicity, etc., etc. Then decide on the wording of the questions, and this is very important. This will come in the forthcoming slides. That changing the word, or changing the sequence, or changing the format, how does it affect? So the wordings of the question should be carefully selected and phrased, and then decide on the question sequence, which question will come first and which question will come after, and what will be the layout of questionnaire. Layout of the questionnaire means that it will be in the form of a leaflet, it will be in the form of an email, it will be in the form of a booklet, etc., etc. Then using a sample, test the questionnaire for omissions or ambiguity. A small sample, if someone is going to collect the data from say 200 respondents, then first what he do, that he drafts and forms a questionnaire, formulates a questionnaire, and then test this questionnaire on 10 pupils and gets the response, and then try to find out that which question is not understandable to the respondent, which question is giving some meanings that is not required. We were planning to get some information on the other side, but the respondent is understanding it in the other way. So we have to change the words of the questions and then code these 10 respondents and try to analyze. So the whole study on the table will be done on the 10 respondents, and we will find out the problems there, which will come in our real survey. So we can do the omissions of some question, we can rephrase some question which may avoid the ambiguity in the questions, etc. And when we will go to the actual field, this questionnaire will be ready and there will be no problem in it. Then after correcting all these things, if you feel that pretesting, this is called the pretesting, that pretesting is necessary again, then you again pretest it on 5 or 10 respondents, whether it is going smoothly now or not. If you don't feel that no, it's enough and it's well and good, then it may be launched in the real survey field. The major decisions in questionnaire design, that what are the contents of the questionnaire, what should be asked, okay, then what will be the wording of the questionnaire, how should each question will be phrased, what will be the sequence, which questions will come first and which questions will come after them, and in what order should the question be presented, then what will be the layout of your questionnaire. As I said, that it is in the form of a booklet, in the form of a leaflet, in the form of some oral interview and recording that interview on your mobile, etc., etc. And what layout will best serve your research objective. This is what the layout we mean. The most difficult step is specifying exactly what information is to be collected from each respondents, and these information that have to be collected should be in accordance to the objectives of the research, objectives of the surveys. So contents, the questions must meet these 5 requirements, these 5 standards, you can say 5 criteria, you can say it, that are the questions are relative. I have said before that they are collecting the responses that are required according to the objectives of our study. They are not collecting the irrelevant informations and they are not missing the relevant information on the same time. So do they pertain to the research problem? Number 2, are the questions accurate? Do they accurately depict the attitude, behavior, etc. intended to investigate? Okay, they should be accurate enough that the respondent should understand the same thing and that we want to know from him and will give the relevant informations. And then on the next, very important, do the respondent have necessary information? The respondents are qualifying for these for filling this questionnaire or not. So here comes, if you will see the different parts of research proposal, then you will find out there that there are the inclusion criteria and exclusion criteria. So this respondent qualify to be included in this study or not. For example, that you are trying to find out the effects of lifestyle on the management of diabetes. So the first thing for your case is that you have diabetic persons, and if the person is not diabetic, that he should not be included in this survey. Or if you are making 2 groups, one group is having diabetes and one group is not having diabetes, and you are comparing both groups according to the lifestyle, then the diabetics should be put in this. They should be included in the diabetic group, and non-diabetic should be included in the control group or the non-diabetic group. This is what we call that qualification of the respondents, whether they are qualifying for this survey or not, and they should be included in this survey or not included. Okay. And what are the exclusion criteria according to this? Again, when I'm saying effect of lifestyle on diabetic management, you don't want to put in your research the diabetics who are having some complication. For example, if they are having nephropathy or they are having some myopathies, cardiomyopathies, or some neuropathies, any complication of diabetes. You don't want to take those diabetics who are having complications. So first you ask them or see their investigation whether they are having some complication or not. If they are having, they should be excluded. So qualify the respondents according to your inclusion and exclusion criteria that you have structured or decided for the research. Then number 4, do the respondents understand and interpret questions correctly? You have phrased the questions and you suppose that respondent will interpret like that, but respondent is taking it another way, and he's giving other answers. This will come before you when you will pretest these questions. Then will respondents give the information? Are there some confidential information that the respondent would not like to give to you? So this has to be decided first. If there are some studies, in the majority of the studies, these type of the questions are not there, which are talking about or asking about some confidential information. For example, nobody would like to answer the question, how much balance you have in your bank account. This is a very easy question. So this type of the questions should be seen. In some studies, we are bound to ask some nasty questions. For example, if we are doing some studies on the sexually transmitted diseases, so some confidential questions should be asked, but then the respondent should be assured that assured and reassured that this information should not be shared with anyone, and this is only for the statistical purpose. Okay, then how should the questions be asked? This is the format. How much freedom do we give respondent in answering the questions? And meaning that whether these are open-ended questions or these are the closed-ended questions. Open-ended questions is that what do you look for most in a job? Okay, and now he may answer too many answers, maybe there. He may answer like that, the better salary. He may answer like that, better opportunities to progress in futures. He may answer the authority. He may answer the freedom to work. He may answer the environment of the working place, etc., etc. So this is an open-ended question, and the respondent may come with too many responses. 100 of the responses may come. Okay, and is there anything else you would like to add about this product? So he may add too many points about the products, and he has the freedom, he has the liberty to answer according to his thinking, according to his approach. But if I make it a close-ended questions, then I will give him a few responses, and he has to choose in between those responses. That will come in the next slides. First, we see that what the open-ended questions are, and what are their advantages, the key advantages. And then you have seen that in open-ended questions, a wide range of responses and informations can be obtained. Answers based on respondents, not the research frame of mind, frame of reference. Consumers' terms, we get the answers on the terms of the consumers. Okay, not on the terms of the manufacturer or the researcher. Okay, lack of influence, that we are not guiding or imposing some answers, or choose an answer from 2, 3, or 4 given options. He may take an answer which is not in our mind, and he give it. And this type of the questionnaires, questions, the open-ended questions, are most of the time being used in qualitative research. Qualitative research and quantitative research are two types of the research. And in qualitative research, we usually use this open-ended type of the questionnaire, and we try to get the in-depth information from the community, that what the community by themselves think about this specific issue. For example, if I want to say the morbidity pattern in a community, Okay, meaning which diseases are more common in that community. Okay, so then I just ask a question, which diseases are more common in your community? Please enlist 3 diseases according to frequency. Okay, then the peoples may come with 100 of the diseases. Someone say with malaria, someone say typhoid, someone say diarrhea, someone will say another, and they will come with the 100 of the responses. But if I ask the question, which of the following diseases are more common in your society, and I give 5 different options: malaria, TB, typhoid, diarrhea, and the flu. And then the person has to, this is the closed-ended type of the question, and this is a quantitative research. And then the respondent has to choose in between these 5 responses. Maybe this respondent was thinking out of these 5 responses, but I have, or we have channelized him or limited him to give answer amongst these responses only. So this is what the open and closed-ended type of the question. So in open-ended type of the question, lack of influence, don't channelize respondent thinking. And then these open-ended questions can help to interpret closed-ended questions. Okay, now I asked a question. I asked a question that which of the diseases are more common in your society, and then I came. Many people's answer differently, and then I took out from this research. This is an open-ended question. From this research, I took out the 5 most frequent responses. And then I framed another question, which is which are having the closed-ended questions, and then I give these 5 options in them. So these open-ended questions lead to formulate the closed-ended questions as well. This is what do we mean by can help interpret closed-ended questions. Particularly, these open-ended questions are useful as introduction to the survey or the topics. What do you think about this thing? What do you how do you assess these things? What is your attitude? So at the starting of the topic, you may give some open-ended question, and then gradually you may come to the closed-ended question, or in other way, if you are not having any information of any subject, any topic, any problem in that community, so you may go with the open-ended questions like a qualitative research, and then after looking the responses, you may go for another survey with a closed-ended question. When it is important to measure the salience of an issue, the silent thinking of the population that they don't share, then you come there, you go there with the open-ended questions to see that what they really think in their heart, instead of guiding them towards some things. Okay, when too many possible responses to be listed, or the responses are unknown, when you are having more than 25 responses, and you cannot enlist all those responses, then you go with the open-ended question, and then again, as I said previously, then you choose 5 most common responses for your next question. And then you are not having any information, then you find you want to find out the informations, and you go with these open-ended, and there the open-ended questions are more advantageous. But there are some disadvantages of the open-ended questions as well, that whether the respondent is able to answer that question that you are asking from him, and number second, if he is able, he is willing to answer that question or not. So you have see this in your inclusion criteria, the ability of the respondent and the willingness. This is your communication with the respondent, and explaining the respondent about the importance of the informations and security and secrecy and confidentiality of the responses that you are gathering from that respondent. Then interviewer's ability here comes. to record answers quickly or summarize accurately and probe effectively. So as you are asking an open-ended question, you are expected to have a long answer, okay, and which are having too many informations in it. And then here comes the interviewer's ability, that he is recording the things and then quickly he is summarizing and accurately finding the answer and probing effectively if the respondent is going here and there and getting this guide. So guiding him towards the right direction. Then interviewer's attitude influences the response. If he's too harsh, he is putting in the questions in like a teacher, like a commander. So then it will have the ill effects on the collection of information. So the interviewer's attitude is very important in these open-ended questions. Then it is time consuming. Interview sessions, mostly the open-ended questions are done through interview sessions, then tabulating them and then summarizing them, and then classification of them, making sequence, and then validating them according to the coding sequence. Difficulty in coding comes there, that you are getting 25 or 30 different responses and you are asking what do you think, what is weaning? For example, I ask a question, and weaning in fact is the introduction of this semi-solid and then the solid diet to the infant after the period of exclusive breastfeeding. So after exclusive breastfeeding period, that is 4 to 6 months, when the child is transformed to the semi-liquid diet or the semi-solid diet and the solid diet, this transformation is called the weaning. And you ask the respondent what is weaning, and then from the 100 different responses, you collect the 100 different definitions, and then you are in a problem to code them. So this is the disadvantage that you of this open-ended type of the questions, that you collect too many responses, and you have then to go through that difficulty. Requires respondent to be articulate. Respondents usually goes here and there telling you different stories and etc., etc., and then you have to repeatedly guide them towards the answer of that question, and this takes time as well. Respondent may miss some important point, and here comes the interviewer, that he should note that what is being missed, and he again probe that point to get the relevant information. Sometimes the respondent may not agree to respond the questions, and this disadvantages in every type of the questionnaire question, open-ended or the closed-ended. Then you come to the closed-ended questions, and closed-ended questions, in other words, are also called the fixed alternative responses. And what do you look for the most in a job? Okay, now see, in the open-ended question, this was a different type of the question. If you remember that I come, yes. What do you look for most in a job? Okay, this was just open-ended, and we were waiting for respondent to give the answer of his own thinking. But here, what we have done, that we have given him certain responses. Okay, work that pays well, work that gives a sense of accomplishment, work where you make most decisions by yourself. Okay, work that is steady with a little chance of being let off. I have closed the question with these 4 responses, and then the respondent has to choose anyone out of these 4 responses. Advantages of the closed-ended questions are too many, and this is the easiness of understanding, and it requires less effort on part of interviewer and as well as at a part of the respondent. Is the tabulation and analysis, and less error prone, less interviewer bias, and less time consuming. Answers are directly comparable from respondent to respondent. That if how many respondents took these options, how many respondents took these options, etc., etc. They can be compared with each other. So these are easy to conduct, these surveys, easy for the respondent, easy for the interviewer, less bias in it as well, and easy to code and formulate. But what you have done, that you have limited the thinking of the respondent, and you are not getting the inside feeling there, and he has been fixed to choose among these responses. Disadvantages are that middle neutral categories often selected inappropriately: ignorance and safety. So ignorance, what is ignorance? No? Ignorance, what is the definition of ignorance? So what do we mean by safety? Safety means that wearing a helmet is just a safety. Wearing a helmet but not tying the laces of the helmet, is this a safety? This is a definition. So many people may have the different definitions of different words in their minds. So you have to give them the instructions in between, in the brackets. There is less opportunity for self-expression or the subtle qualifications to express their ideas, as you have limited their ideas through giving the responses. Less involving for the respondent, as he has just to choose one response. Order of the response categories can have major effect on the result. This is very important, that if I am putting if you see in the previous questions that the better salary has been put it on the number 1 slot. Okay, if I put it in between the third or the fourth, the people's most likely less people will choose it, and the people will go on the first slot or the second slot, and likewise. So the order of the responses have a major impact. What are the key trade-off that want to get respondent to address issues our research is concerned with, forced response, and at the same time sorry, give respondents opportunity to honestly opt out solution, that is don't know, no answer, neither agree nor disagree, so as not to dilute the data collected. So they should be given an option to give the answers like that, along with or besides the fixed responses that you have given them to them in your answer. Then there are other question in your questionnaire. They are called the dichotomous questions, and they are either this way or that way. So but again, you see, should Alberta government gives the consumers an energy rebate? Agree or disagree? Now this is not giving you the intensity of the agreement or intensity of the disagreement. If the Alberta government is giving a rebate of just 1 penny per month, so a person has to agree because they are giving rebate. But what is the value of this rebate? So this, if I put another way, it that is strongly agree, agree, okay, neither agree nor disagree, okay, then disagree, strongly disagree. Now this is the grading, and it is other way. So in the dichotomous questions, we just give the one way or other way response, agree or disagree, and right or left, yes or no. Okay. Advantages of this type of the questions are that they are easy to administer and tabulate, but the disadvantages, they are prone to large amount of errors, and polarized responses prevent gaining information on the range of variations that I have given the value of a rebate, and then fail to communicate any intensity of the feeling, as I mentioned before. Then there are the multiple type of questions. All are all possible alternatives included. There may be 4 or 5 responses that you may include in it, and you try to include the most possible responses there. There are too many alternatives, and position bias is there as well. Okay, so they are better than the dichotomous questions because you are giving too many options, too many alternatives. But here again, I said that the positional bias, which response is on the first number, on which is on the second, which is on the third, this bias is there. Then there are some skilled response questions. And these are the closed-ended questions where the responses choices are designed to capture an intensity of feeling, unlike the dichotomous questions, or unlike these multiple choice questions, that there is no scaling of the responses, measuring of the responses, intensity measuring of the feelings. There are different types of the scaled questions. They are being used. They are the Likert, staple, semantic, differentials. These are different type of the scaling responses. They are easy to code and more powerful statistical tool they are. Main problem is the respondents' misunderstanding. They are slightly difficult, so they have to explain, the interviewer has to explain to the respondent. But if there is no interviewer involved and you are mailing it, then you have to give in bracket explanations. So see, what is a Likert scale is a question which contains 5 or 7 responses. Optimally, survey maker can get a holistic view of the people's opinion and the level of agreement. As I said, that strongly agree, then neither agree nor disagree, then disagree, then strongly disagree. So these are the different type of the intensity of the problem. It may be up till 5 or up till 7, and this is called the Likert scale. A staple scale is defined as a rating scale, and it is a closed-ended question with a single adjective, unipolar. Develop together respondent insight about a particular subject or event. Survey question is comprised of an even number of responses option without a neutral point. That in the previous options that you saw, I have given a response neither agree nor disagree. This is the neutral point. Okay. And this neutral point is not there. For example, I say that what do you do? How good ORS is in the treatment of dehydration, and then you give +5, +4, +3, +1. You don't give 0. This is the neutral response. After +1, you come to -1, -2, -3. So a negative intensity. This is you mean by the staple scale, and the only difference is that it is not having any neutral response. Then in the semantic scale, you see the questions are asked to rate a company and product or the series, etc., within the framework of multi-point rating. Now you see, please rate your manager on the following traits, whether he is strong, and as strong as on this side it will be so, or weak. If you are here, it is weak. If you are here, it is slightly weak. If you are here, neither strong nor weak. So similarly, so if he is fair or unfair. So this type of the scales or responses are called the semantic scale. Questions wording is very important and can have major impact on how respondents interpret question. All respondents should interpret the question in the same way, and there are certain things to avoid in this. Question should not be complex and too long, and after telling a paragraph, you are coming to the questions, and this should confuse the respondent. They should be simple, direct, and in the conversational language instead of the literary language or the scientific language or too much scientific. Sir, जी.
सर कितनी स्लाइडें रह गई?
5 मिनट और दे दीजिए
सर. वो ठीक है सर. ओके सर.
Okay. Then there are certain things to avoid complexity. Leading question should not be there, and the loaded question should not be there. Yeah, see, a loaded question. What is the loaded question? Have you purchased a high quality Sony TV this year? Now this high quality is guiding somewhere else. The words like often, many, frequently, regularly, they should not be used. Now see, the question, these are called the double barrel question. Which province is bigger? Punjab or Balochistan? Which is bigger? By what are you asking? Would you are asking according to population or area? If you're asking according to area, answer is Balochistan. If you're asking according to population, the answer is Punjab. So there are more things to avoid. Long-worded question should not be there. Double-barreled question, as I explained, should not be there. Okay, and then see, Do you think Nike offers better pricing and variety than other brands? Now you are asking two things in one question: price and variety. So how he will answer? Okay, yes or no. If price is yes, variety is no. So the double things should not be asked in the one question. One, it should be like, do you think Nike offers better pricing than other brands? This is okay. Then making implicit assumptions. Don't put in different jargons. There are some other things to avoid. Burdensome questions should not be there. That may test the respondent's memory. How many tubes of the toothpaste have you purchased in the last 3 months? Then embracing sensitive question should not be there, as I example about the how much balance do you have in your bank account. Then question sequence should be there. Layout decision. This is the things, and layout decision I said to you that it is in the form of email, in the form of leaflet, in the form of a book or booklet, etc. And then initial question, screening or qualifying questions should be first. Have you been to the movie theater in this month? Then need to gain and maintain respondent cooperation. Make questionnaire simple for interviewer to administer. Opening question should be interesting, simple, and easy to answer. Which theater did you go last time? This is the simple questions. Then there are transition questions that the next 10 questions will ask about the attitude. This is the statement and then questions of attitude. Or if something like, if the answer of question number 9 is no, please skip the question number 10. Okay, because question number 10 is asking something in depth in the question number 9. So these are the transformation or the transition questions. Difficult and complicated question. The following 10 questions relate to the characteristics of the theater's respondent now committed and can see an end in sight. Okay, so this should not be classifying and demographic question. This should be in the last. What is your annual household income? It may not be answered. This is difficult or sensitive questions. Then there are other considerations. Question should flow logically from one to next. A general question should be asked before more specific questions. Earlier question should not influence response to the latter ones, that you are giving the answer in first question and the same question is being asked in the second. Question should flow from factual and behavioral questions to the attitudinal and opinion and practice questions. Question should flow from least sensitive to the most sensitive. Question should flow from unaided, which brand do you prefer, to the edit, in which you have given the name of the brands. Then demographic question should come at the end. Initial question should be like screening and rapport. Middle question should be product specific questions, and end are the demographic questions. You should not use multiple questions instead of one. Similar questions together should not be given there. Develop a logical flow. Use transition between the sections and distinguish between different questions and responses. Now you see, the same question is being asked in these two formats. Instruction layout, do you agree, disagree, or have an opinion that is in company has a good vacation policy? Disagree, not sure, agree. Good management feedback, again disagree, not sure. This is complex one. This has been made simple in this layout. Does this company have a good vacation policy? 1, 2, 3. And like that. So this should be the layout. This should be simple. Filter and pivot questions should be used as necessary. Filter question is one that screens out respondents who are not qualified to answer a second question. As I said, if the response of question of number 9 is no, skip question number 10. This is the filter question, and this is the same is the meaning of pivot question, with a slight difference that the version it determines what version of the second question to ask. Okay, then there should be a logical flow as we have mentioned, from the repo to the other layout of the question, which type of the questionnaire you want to, in the form of the leaflet, in the form of booklet, etc. Questionnaire should not be appear overcrowded, and label leaves lots of space for open-ended questions, because there will be long answer. Questionnaires in booklet form are often recommended. Okay. Opening, in the opening, provide the first name and provide the name of the company and introductions, invite to participate. In the closing, thank for the time, ask if they had a positive experience and remind them that their opinions are countable. And then pre-testing and correcting problems. We have discussed questions, design, flowchart. We have seen. Now these 10 points should be taken in consideration. This is the last slide. Specify what information will be sought, determine type of the questionnaire and method of administration, determine the content of individual questions, determine form of response for each question. Number 5, determine wording for each questions. Number 6, determine question sequence of the questions. Number 7, determine physical characteristic of the questions. And then pre-test, revise step 1 to 7 if necessary. The pre-test, revise if necessary, and then you go to implement your question. Remember, a questionnaire is only as good as the questionnaire is ours. Okay, the good questions, the good questionnaire. Okay, do we have time for taking some question, Mr. Shahid?